My husband, 47, and I, female, 40, are getting divorced. We have 3 kids together. Amelie, nearly adult female, teen male, and toddler male. When my husband and I met, we were married to other people. He was my ex-husband's co-worker. We met at one of their company parties. We hit it off, and we had an affair before we got divorced to start dating. Amelie was born shortly after we got divorced. We never felt like we should tell our kids all this when they were growing up, mainly because they were too young. Neither he nor I had kids with our exes, so we just threw away our wedding photos and pretended neither of those marriages happened. When and if the kids asked how we met, we told them it was through common friends. Well, now that we're getting divorced, Amelie has picked her dad's side. I can't really stop her from seeing her whenever she wants because our custody agreement is not over yet, so she often goes to his house after school or spends the weekends with him. He's told her the truth. He's trying to get her to believe that I'm wrong in all of this. Although all I'm doing is supporting my son, he's trying to get her against me and against her brother. He told her he had always wanted to tell them the truth, but I didn't allow it since it would make him look bad. That's obviously a lie, but Amelie believed him. When she returned home, she started arguing about why I never told her the truth. She called me a lying witch. I tried to explain the truth and what her dad was trying to do. She told me she never wanted to see me again. I got sick of that and grounded her. I took her phone and sent her to her room. This morning, she wasn't talking to me. She told me she hates me and will try to leave to live with her dad. My coworker thinks I was an idiot for grounding her. She's a confused teenager. I don't know what to believe, really. So, am I the idiot? Edit. Our oldest son came out as trans. His dad isn't supportive at all. Quite the opposite. That's why we're getting divorced. He's trying to get Amelie against her brother. You are the idiot. You can't ground her for an outburst that you caused. You can say you lied to protect her, but you still lied, and that comes with consequences. Now your daughter's confused and hurt, and you're grounding her, just solidified in her mind that you are the bad guy. Your soon-to-be ex is awful for trying to manipulate her, but it's up to her who she believes, and it's up to you to prove him wrong. I think everyone's the idiot here. Your soon-to-be ex-husband is a royal idiot for not supporting your son and for using your daughter as a pawn in the divorce. You're an idiot for grounding your emotionally distressed daughter and further alienating her when she needs your support the most. LOL. Nothing says come live with me like grounding a kid for calling you out for being a liar. OP, you lied to your kids, and they called you out on it. You didn't like being exposed, so you punished your kid instead of having a conversation with her. Not the idiot. I can barely imagine going through a divorce for trying to protect my child from their father, then having a different child attack me because of manipulations from their father. Absolutely devastating. So I understand why you snapped and went to grounding. As you've already discovered, your response was not helpful in trying to calm the situation. I hope you can figure out a way to talk to your daughter without blaming your soon-to-be ex, as much as he deserves it. Oh, did he leave out the part where he was married too? Wouldn't be surprised if he left that out or twisted it, saying I was happily married, but your mom seduced me, baby-trapped me, and blackmailed me into being with her. She'll find out the truth eventually. Kids always do, and you need to stay as truthful and as neutral as possible. Good luck. I was out with my kids, and my daughter, teen, fell. I checked on her, and she seemed fine, and she didn't even fall that hard, so we moved on. We came back home, and my daughter woke me up in the middle of the night and told me that her finger hurt. Now, keep in mind that she has a very low pain tolerance, and she always gets dramatic about everything. I looked at her finger, and it was fine, so I told her to go back to sleep. In the morning, she said she was still in pain, so I put some ice on it. Well, an hour later, her dad showed up at my door yelling at me, asking why I didn't take her to the doctor. We went to the doctor's office, and apparently, she had a broken bone. My ex called me the C word, took my daughter, and left. Was I the idiot? How was I supposed to know it was broken? She has the same reaction to a little stomach ache, too. Edit. Just to be clear, her finger looked fine, other than a little bruise, and I had no idea that it was broken because she cries even if she's in a little pain. And she wasn't even crying this time, so I couldn't know that it hurt so much. When she woke me up, I even asked her if she wanted to go to the hospital. She said no, she just wanted painkillers. Still, she knew I didn't like her taking medicine for no reason, so I offered to get her some ice, which she again refused. So I assumed it wasn't that serious. You are the idiot. You say you didn't know it was broken, but the reality is that you don't take her pain seriously. Every statement you made minimizes any of her complaints about pain. Maybe her pain tolerance isn't as low as you assume. Perhaps her little stomach pains are extreme. If the finger was broken, it would have been very bruised looking by the middle of the night. There was no way it looked fine. When I was in high school, I used to babysit for a family that often accused one of their children of whining and being overdramatic about tummy aches. After years of this, they realized this child had multiple food allergies. I've also known a number of young females whose pain was discounted, only to eventually learn they had endometriosis. Those little stomach pains could be a sign of a serious problem. I agree. If your teen is waking you up in the night and you know the child had an impact earlier in the day, then it's probably serious. And she wouldn't even give her a Tylenol? What kind of painkillers are we talking about? My mother was the same. She accused me of faking multiple illnesses throughout my life, and every time I was correctly diagnosed and she was proven wrong, she'd rant about how it's not her fault. I'm so overdramatic. Good Lord, give her some baby Tylenol. Also, who the heck asked their kid if they want to go to the hospital? I'm so angry. You should be ashamed of yourself for neglecting your child. You aren't supposed to know it's broken. You're supposed to care enough to find out if it's broken. Learn the lesson here. Apologize and tell your daughter to listen to her own body. And by the way, what would have been the harm in taking her seriously? Would you have lost a few hours of time at urgent care or the doctor? Is that time really worth more to you than your daughter's health and comfort? My 23 female, sister 25, recently got engaged to her fiancé, 26 male, after they'd been dating for a year. Their engagement party was basically a dinner with friends and close relatives, and my sister went all out on the food. Marriage is a huge deal to her, and she's had her whole wedding and married life planned out since we were kids. I've never felt the same excitement for weddings and kids, even though I wanted at some point. Since I'm a lesbian in a bigoted family, I long ago accepted that a big fancy wedding with my father walking me down the aisle wasn't part of the plan. This doesn't sadden me much, but my sister, the only one in my family who knows about my identity, has been convinced that I'm jealous of her since she started dating her fiancé. The dinner started out great, but after the main course, my family and relatives started asking about my dating life. At first, it was pretty harmless questions, such as, when are you getting a boyfriend? And why aren't you dating? I saw that boy hitting on you just yesterday. It annoyed me, but my sister seemed even more annoyed. After dessert, when the alcohol started kicking in, the questions got out of hand. My mom said, I can't believe your sister got engaged first. You've always been more social. And my grandma commented that I was the more attractive sister. My sister obviously got hurt by this, and I caught her crying in the bathroom at one point. I even tried to talk to her, but all she said was, Happy? You've made my engagement all about you, and then avoided me for the rest of the party. So this is the part where I might have been the bad guy. After my aunt asked when I would get a boyfriend for the millionth time, and I'd had my millionth glass of wine, I told her that I'd never get a boyfriend, but when I get a girlfriend, she'd be the first to know. I stormed out of the apartment, accidentally knocking a glass over, and took a cab home. My phone immediately started blowing up, but I turned off the notifications and went straight to bed. One of me and my sister's mutual friends, who was at the party, told me the next day that a wild discussion about what I said to my aunt was held, and then the party was cut short. My sister locked herself in her room crying, and everyone went home. I've now been blocked by most of my family and relatives. My sister sent me a nasty text about how my coming out on her part stole her thunder, and my mother no longer considers me family. I'm not going to try to make excuses for my behavior because I definitely could have been a more supporting sister, but I just wanted to know, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You shouldn't need to hide who you are, and although there may have been a better time for it, it sounds like you were utterly pressured into it. You weren't the one making it all about you. Your family was. Who the heck says that someone is more attractive than someone else, right in front of the person? Who says that? A blunt grandma. My wife is a twin, and her sister has always, even when in athletic shape, been a bit taller and heavier than my wife. Grandma commented every Christmas about it. OP, your sister was angry at you before you even came out. She was mad at you and saying you were making it about yourself when that wasn't true. People were harassing you. That's not your fault. I'm leaning toward everyone's the idiot here. OP, why in the devil's haircut didn't you stop the comments earlier without coming out? How they talk about you both is dreadful. This party sounds like a race to the bottom regarding who can ruin the party for your sister the most. If she's constantly been told she's less social and less attractive, no wonder she wanted to show off at an event, showing someone loves her above all others. I feel awful for her. OP, I'm sure you already regret weaponizing your coming out and are now dealing with the incoming toxic reactions. You deserve much better too. But I hope you apologize to your sister for not facing up to these bullies. You and your sis need to team up against this cruel, bigoted family. Unfortunately, all you can do is make your own best choices. I think this whole situation is ridiculous, but I've received a lot of anger and criticism. My 25 female family likes to come along on any holidays one of the members is having. Someone mentions they're going on vacation. They all suggest making it a family trip or a reunion. And I have a large family with a lot of younger cousins and nieces and nephews, which can really get overwhelming because I'm autistic. Something they don't get and call me rude for whenever I leave early from events. I booked plane tickets to Japan this upcoming July since I've always wanted to visit. My hotel is a women's-only capsule hotel, something I chose deliberately because it's A, cheaper, B, I feel much safer in women's-only accommodation, especially since I'm traveling alone to a country I've never been to. I was invited to my niece's birthday recently and stated that I couldn't attend. I initially tried not to disclose the reason, as I knew they'd try and make it a family trip. I do this whenever I go on holiday and don't tell them until I'm already gone. However, I got pressured for the reason a lot. Eventually, I had to say I'd be on holiday in Japan. Immediately, my aunt was like, "Oh, what hotel are you staying at? We'll book rooms too and make it a big family summer holiday." At this point, I realized that they probably wouldn't be able to book the same capsule hotel I was in, as the rooms are single person and women only. So I went ahead and told them anyway. Well, one of my family members must have looked it up and told the rest of them this, because I got a barrage of texts saying how dare I not make my vacation inclusive of them, and that I was incredibly selfish. I snapped back in our group chat and said that I was sick of them inviting themselves on every single holiday, that just because we're family, we don't need to spend all of our time off together, and that I would most certainly not be welcoming of them trying to do anything with me on my solo vacation to a country I've been wanting to visit for many years, that I've paid for myself. Not to mention, on previous family trips, I've been stuck babysitting my younger family because I'm the youngest adult. Long story short, Everyone's blowing up my phone now for what I said. Am I the idiot? There's literally no way you're the bad guy here. You're an adult, and you can make plans by yourself whenever you want, on your own terms. Are they literally inviting themselves and then getting mad that you're not being accommodating to them on your trip? God forbid you want to visit a different country at your own pace, doing whatever you like by yourself. Not the idiot, not by a mile. This is just weird. Is everyone in your family super rich that they can just drop all their plans at the drop of a hat and follow you around the world on any vacation you take? You should just be able to tell them that this is a trip you're doing by yourself. But I completely understand your family is the type to push boundaries and make everything an issue. It can be hard to set boundaries with an overbearing family, but they treat you like you're a child. You're not. You're a 25-year-old person. We have a significant amount of inheritance from our previous family, lots of high-value land. They sell a piece every time they need to buy stuff. It's terrible money management. For the country they live in, it sells for a large amount of money. Oh, wow. It is terrible money management. You only have a certain amount of land. Eventually, your extended family will run out of land to sell. It may seem like a lot of land to them. It may even still be a lot of land, but it is still a finite amount of land. It doesn't matter if your family only had to sell a piece of land every 5 months or 10 years. It would just mean that it'll take longer before there's nothing left to sell. This is why there aren't actually many wealthy families out there. 90% of families lose their wealth by the third generation. When I, 22 female, was born, our neighbor's handmade a wooden baby cradle for me. My mother used this cradle for each of my siblings. I'm the oldest. My sister, 21, and her husband, 21, live with our parents to save money since she doesn't have a job. My sister recently found out she was pregnant, and she asked our dad to get the cradle out of storage for the new baby without asking me. She and her husband plan on moving out to a place of their own and want to take the cradle with them. I, however, want to keep it at our parents' house. My mom has always referred to this cradle as my cradle, and growing up, I've always been told that I would use it for my kids. I'm not planning to have kids right now, but when I do, I want to make sure I get to use the cradle. I'm concerned that if my sister takes it with them, I'll never get my cradle back. I told my mom and sister that she could use the cradle while she lives at our parents' house, but she can't take it to her new place with them. My mom got mad and said I can take the cradle back eventually, but my sister had done this before. For instance, my mom promised me a bedroom furniture set from my great aunt. Still, she took it without asking me for her and her husband, forcing me to furnish my apartment out of my pocket. I let that go, but this cradle is much more important to me, and I really want to use it for my own kids when I have them. Am I the idiot if I insist that it stays at my mom's house, especially since she never asked me to use it in the first place? Wait, so it was used by you and all of your siblings, yet you're the only one that can own it? Yes, you are the idiot. Your sister needs the cradle now. You just hypothetically want the option to use the cradle someday. It's obviously not yours outright, since your mom still has possession of it. She can decide to change her mind on who gets to use it or not. The same goes for her will or estate, and anything else promised to you. You're acting like a child. Indeed, maybe OP wants to sleep in it herself. I would check that the cradle's even safe anymore, to be honest. Standards have changed a lot, and many of them no longer are. That said, that cradle is a family cradle that was used for all the kids and should be used for the grandkids. Maybe offer to buy your sister a cradle or a crib if it's so important to you. I disagree. My uncle made me a cradle when I was a baby, and it was for me. And to the bottom he burned, to my name, Uncle Jim. Also, OP explicitly says that the sister has a history of borrowing things and not returning them. Her sister got that furniture that was intended for her, so I can see why she's possessive of the cradle. She needs to bring it to her own place, though. Otherwise, it'll vanish. Not the idiot. You have an emotional attachment to something from your childhood, and you don't want it damaged or lost when you use it. I would say that you shouldn't leave the cradle at your parents' house at all. Take it now before it gets too late.